Okay, we have our last red bag. So for me, I think it was the ability to absorb the feeling of the colors, which that's another thing I do is I feel the color, and when I think of these things, then I think of the color first. And so when I'm thinking of my work, if I get stumped, then I think about somewhere I've been or sound or something like that, and it brings color, and that helps me to go forward if I'm in a corner.
Tronka started in art the traditional way by taking classes in high school. She started college as an art major, but her father talked her into a business degree. But it was at college that she was introduced to fiber arts.
Well, fiber arts, it was primarily early in college, and I did more weaving then, and I'm not really one to sew, so I preferred the weaving or felting. I like that ability to create an interlacement, and the felting you can do that with either needle felting or the traditional wet felting, and then the weaving, creating all these different patterns with this interlacement. But when I discovered the plastic, and that came much later, that's only been about 5 years ago. When I discovered the plastic, I discovered I can do the same things with the plastic, not the felting, but I can weave, and I can create these quilt-like projects that are brighter. The colors are brighter, they're more intense than I can get with a textile. So I think that's what's drawing me to it, and what keeps me there is this ability to have these wonderful textures, but they're different. They're bright, they're shiny, they're long-lasting. Now I'll have some more color in there. Let's see what it does here. Ooh, that's nice. You have to look at it differently, and it takes a lot of research and experimentation. And when I first started working with it, I was primarily using the design elements that were in plastic bags that were already imprinted on plastic. But it wasn't, I didn't have enough variety. I wasn't able to be as creative with that as I wanted to be. Plus, you have to be rather careful about trademark infringement too. So you have all those issues. So what I did was I started to look for paints that were not oil-based. So acrylic paints, beautiful. You can paint them on the plastic. Sometimes they'll bubble. That can be a look. I can do a lot with hair dryer, drying them as they go on. But what I realized was you have to layer, whatever it is you apply to your first layer, you have to layer on top of that or it flakes off. So then you got the ability to take all these other colors of plastics, these sheer plastics. Now it's just like painting. So now you're taking something you've put on, now you've used another sheer layer. That gives it a different color. You can put another layer behind that, an opaque layer. That gives it another color. So you can build on this texture and color with the plastic just like you would if you were painting canvas or fabric or anything absorbent.
Taking the creative process further, Tronka took art, her plastic art, three-dimensional.
Growing up in the area of California, we had a very large Japanese population, and I'm very drawn to this beauty of Japanese art. You know, it's got a simplicity but a complexity at the same time, and they use different patterns with other patterns that you would think wouldn't work, but they do. So I thought, how can I do that with the plastic? And how can I make something very traditional in a very traditional manner out of something you wouldn't imagine that I would make it from? So it's contrast. So yeah, I started doing that. I sew it on the sewing machine. Plastic will stitch. I can make all these interesting patterns using my own imagination or stencils or anything. Anything works, scraping, anything. And it allows me also to use plastics that are not recyclable. And that's really the direction I'm going now more than anything, is these heavier plastics used for shipping and things like that, that really the recycling centers won't take them. So it's my little way of keeping that out of the landfill, where the other bags I can take to a recycling center. that's the other thing that's really interesting about using this medium, is that everybody can get involved. So people save bags for me. People who maybe have seen me in a gallery, they'll bring bags to the gallery and ask that they give it to me. I think it's wonderful because now they're looking at plastic differently too. You know, it's something that, well, someone can reuse this or recycle this in a different way. So that's been kind of fun.